Did
I
we
love
put
it.
75 cents.
it on the agenda?
I figured
All
if I
right.
forgot to do it again, you'd remind me.
All right, we'll call the July 21st meeting of the Eastham Select Board to order. This meeting will be video recorded and broadcast over local access channel 8 and through the town website at www.eastham-ma.gov. All right, as my usual, today's joke. Okay. What happens when the fog lifts over Los Angeles?
I can imagine.
I give up.
UCLA. All right, off we go. Hey, somebody laughed. It's finally a good one. Finally someone laughed. I thought that was a good one. That's all right. Okay, so now we're gonna go anything that's not on the agenda, anything from the board? Wants to say anything?
I assume, well, I'm going to ask, I guess. Jackie, I saw in your manager's report about the RTE. Are you going to talk a little bit about? Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So when we get to manager's report,
Okay,
getting the word out for applying for RTE.
yeah. Suzanne?
Should I mention Energy and Climate Action has a public,
Yes, yeah.
did you get a hold of Tom?
I got old Tom, and he said that he's scheduled for, wants to do September. He didn't.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
And I had seen the date. So the 29th. The Energy and Climate Action Committee is developing a climate action plan, and there is a public forum that they would like you to attend soon. The 29th at the library at, I should have saved it when I saw
I
it.
don't know. Okay. We will fill that in when we find it.
6 p.m.
6
at the
6 p.m.
library.
at the library on the 29th of July. The Climate Action Committee has a plan, wants input from the public.
Yes.
So please. Only thing I have is that Friday at 6 o'clock, the Firebirds game is Eastham night. The Eastham Scouts will bringing the colors. The Eastham Recreation kids in the Eastham Rec will be running out with the birds. We'll start at the game. Bob is going to come in as a pinch hurler and throw out the first pitch. And then in the fourth inning, they're honoring heroes, and they're going to be honoring the Eastham COA Veterans Club. And there, at least 10 of them will be there to honor them. So if you can, show up on the 25th at Eldridge Field. All right, thanks. Anything from anyone, I don't know if anyone's online or anyone here would like to say anything that's not on the agenda. If not, we will move to the agenda. Laurie, I think you're up first with the personnel code.
It's
Which
my
was a lot
annual
of reading,
visit.
yes.
Well, the good news is there weren't many changes. The only
I knew there weren't many, yes.
the only change is the pay table. Personnel code we adopt it every year, but it mirrors the Eastham Employees Association pay table for 2026. So there is no change between the two. This is the last year though of our contracts. We are going into negotiations in the fall.
I know, yes,
Can you tell by my smile I am?
yeah. Okay, so now what you would, that's good. I thought I had heard that that was the only change, and so that's fine. I did try and read it all, but I skimmed it. Do you need a vote of to accept the personnel?
Yep, if you could adopt the Town of Eastham classification and compensation plan and personnel code for July 1st, 2025.
So moved.
Oh, moved, okay, so I like that. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. Okay, so any further discussion on the classification and payroll and personnel code for the town of Eastham?
And
Yes.
somewhat shameless question slash consideration if the town would at some point consider parental leave as part of their benefits. And I know Rich gave me some rationale for it a number of years ago, and I just doing the math of, okay, well, if you used all of your sick time and all of your vacation time and all of your paid time off to like have a new baby, you would maybe get like 3 months and then you wouldn't have any paid time off for the rest of the year and you would have a new child. And so it's just my shameless pitch that I hope the towns consider parental leave as part of their benefits in addition to what's already being offered.
Yes, so we do follow FMLA, Family Medical Leave Act. And so that is unpaid, 12 weeks
Right.
protected. Doesn't matter if you're the mother or the father or the adoptive parent, it's all covered under that same act. But if you want it to be paid, you do have to use your accrued time.
Right. And that's rough. And also taking 12 weeks off unpaid is,
Nobody ever takes 12 weeks off unpaid.
Right.
yeah, because
You know,
I don't know if you can.
I mean,
take
you
12
have a lot of months to plan it, usually. so
Yeah.
that's-
And we do have a generous time off package.
Yeah.
You know, our
It
vacation and
just-
our sick and personal.
Yeah.
And a lot of positions can earn comp time besides, which you can use.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just know I've done the math for myself personally,
Mhm.
and I'm like, okay, well, if I like took absolutely no time off, maybe I would get 3 months and then I would have no paid time off for the rest of the year and an infant. So that is a struggle.
Mhm.
So just thought I'd bring it up again.
Sure. We're going into negotiations. We'll see what comes to the table too.
Yep. Okay. Any other discussion? All right, Jamie's not online, so we can just do a voice vote. All in favor of the motion?
I,
Opposed? None? 4-0. Okay.
Thank you.
Next is Michele. I think I see Michelle's on.
she's on.
So can we get Michele up and running?
And Michele Randazzo, Labor Counsel
So-
for the town of Eastham.
Yeah, yes, my error.
No, it's not your error. I'm just backing you up.
Okay, so you're muted. There you go. Now she's muted
Hi,
again.
folks. Oh, am I muted
Hello,
again?
there
Can
you
hear me?
are. We can hear you and we can see you as well. Hopefully you can hear us.
I absolutely can, except now, of course, I can't see any of you anymore, but
I know, we're kind of far away on Zoom. Yeah.
okay. Well, it's good I saw you when the meeting started, so it's good to see you all, albeit remotely. And so we're going to talk about the process for seeking Jackie's replacement. I can't even believe we're talking about it, but here we are. So one of the things that I provided to Jackie, and I think it's probably in your packets,
Mhm.
It
is Art's sort of cheat sheet, although it's not particularly short, of the screening committee process. And that's because there often is a lot of misunderstanding of what's involved in doing screening for a new department level position, a position that is appointed by a public body. And you have two options, really. One is to do all the work yourselves as the appointing authority, which I don't think anybody wants to take on, or has the capacity to do that, in particular because everything would basically need to be done in open session. Instead, what's much more common is that the appointing authority, like the select board, would decide whether they want to have a screening committee, whether they want to have a consultant, whether they want the two to work together. what their goals are in terms of what they'd like to have either the screening committee and or a consultant do, and return to the full board for consideration for finalists. And so the protocol document that we've provided really just goes through what happens when you use basically a search or screening committee. They're governed by the open meeting law. So you have to have post meetings of a screening committee. Executive session may be permissible for certain aspects of that process, including the review and screening of applicants and the conducting of preliminary interviews by the search or screening committee. And this document goes through all of those processes: open meeting law, public record, and the like. In addition to deciding, you as the board deciding whether or not you want a search committee, screening committee, and or consultant, you also might want to think about some broader goals, right? What are you looking for in the process? Do you want a nationwide search? If so, that may be something where you really might want to get a consultant in. You know, do you want to ask a screening committee what do you want the screening committee to be comprised of if you want to go forward with a screening committee? What types of people from the community are you looking at to make up that screening committee? I recall being back before the board when the prior town administrator had retired, and you were looking for now Jackie, right? So the inquiries are not terribly different, but there are some policy and strategic decisions that the select board, as the appointing authority, may want to make up front. And so that's sort of very basic. Do you folks want to ask me particular questions? Do you want me to go through the protocol document, or I want to do what's most productive for you folks?
Yeah.
I thought my first thought, and I think you answered it just to make sure I read it all correctly, was that if we decide to do it ourselves, everything is an open meeting.
You are absolutely
can't-
correct.
Okay, so I think that answers that question pretty rapidly, because that would mean any applicant, it's public who they are. So
Right. And so usually that's part of why you would use a screening committee, which, one or two members of the select board could sit on it if you wanted. You just can't have a quorum of the select board. But there are, policy reasons why you may or may not want a member or two members of the select board, two being less than a quorum of the full board, to sit on a screening committee. Some select boards look at this as an opportunity to have folks that have, they're making sort of the completely unbiased, if you want to use that term, recommendation to the select board. Other communities like to have at least one member of the select board on a screening committee so that that person can, sort of convey the pulse, I guess, of the select board, not necessarily with respect to this particular process, but, well, the select board, this is the way we normally interact with a town manager. This is the type of qualities that we typically look for, that type of feedback as part of the screening committee process.
okay, now in looking at a consultant, I mean, you can do a consultant along with the search committee, but if let's say you wanted to do a consultant only, just trying to figure out the basics. So you would have the consultant do all the screening, do everything, and present, I guess we could say how many finalists, but so many finalists to us, and then it becomes public. Is that how that would work? It's in essence the consultant would do all the search and all the preliminary interviews, and then present to us what they consider finalists within our criteria that we set.
Yeah, I mean, it's usually not typical in my experience to use only a consultant. Usually that is paired with a search committee. But you would, if you were to go to a consultant only option, you'd really want to have very clear parameters decided by the select board in advance as to what you want the consultant to focus on. And I would say you would be best to recommend some, to at a minimum seek like at least 3 candidates from the consultant. I mean, usually a search committee, whether they're working with a consultant or not, are going to interview a number of people and winnow it down to a set of finalists. And it always needs to be more than one finalist. So I think you want to have make sure that you're comfortable that you've got a good, robust set of finalists that are recommended to you.
I understand. One of the things that I didn't see in here is we look at search committee and so forth, and a new town manager would have to work with employees. Do we do anything vis-a-vis employees or get input that way? Or can an employee be part of the search committee? I'm just curious on any kind of that parameter. Not saying I want to do it, but just trying to figure out what we can and can't do.
So in my experience, folks would typically look at a retired or former employee as opposed to an active employee,
Mhm.
right? Because it just can get a little thorny.
Dicey. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So I've worked with search committees that have had like retired fire chiefs or, even past members of the select board, as opposed to current members. It is your choice. I would advise against a current employee. I think it's just it's just too
Yeah.
problematic, particularly insofar as you may have internal candidates that are, putting in for the job. It can make things dicey, as you said.
Right.
And Jerry, I think what I've seen in other searches is that the employees are usually brought in when the pool of finalists has been accepted. So once you guys have your finalists, then we could do meet and greets. Laurie could help do a panel interview. We've done that before, even with other department heads.
Okay, that's great. That's one
Right.
of the thoughts I
I
had
think it's absolutely essential.
looking at that, because you need, whoever comes in has to have some buy-in from the employees. I mean, it's a team. Granted, things can change, but you need that. One other question, just on, let's say we go the search committee route, how large is the search committee? Is there a critical mass? A search committee has got to be more than one, and you probably want it to be odd number, but where are we?
I haven't seen any smaller than 5.
Mhm.
No smaller than how long?
I haven't seen them smaller than 5. I would probably say that 7 is about where you,
A good number. Mhm.
or going beyond 7 is going to be too many cooks, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ultimately a policy decision for you, but I when you get to like 9 and 11 person committees, I
It's
think that's
bad.
just that
We've done
it's just tough.
Right. Yeah. I understand. That's what I was looking for some advice on that.
Do they need to be residents?
That's a good
They-
question.
They actually don't. You may have folks that have kids in, from the regional, if you want to have parents of some of the kids at the regional school, those may not necessarily be Eastham residents. There's no legal requirement that they be residents.
We had
I
former
mean,
employees.
Other
right,
town
exactly.
Our
managers.
employees could
Right.
go elsewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Other town managers.
Exactly.
What about, no, I suddenly lost my train of thought. That's all right. Anybody been looking-
May I ask, where do we source these people? Is this from Indeed, or, I mean, are we looking at a headhunter as a consultant, for example?
So there are a couple of, I'd say there's probably 3, maybe 4 groups that routinely do this
Mhm.
for town managers, town administrators, and other department heads. Some of them are in state, some of them are out of state, but they do a lot of work in Massachusetts. There are individuals who also do that. So there's an established group. The UMass Collins Center does it as well. So there's a variety of options that you can look at. But if you're going to have a consultant, you need to look at what you're thinking about spending, and then we have to figure out whether there's any procurement requirements involved or whatnot, depending on the cost. And like I said, like if you use the Collins Center, I think it's usually free. But there are private entities as well.
And could a consultant help the search committee develop the,
Request.
well, not the RFP, but the,
Oh, the
Criteria.
Questions.
criteria for the.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
right.
I mean, you have
Why wouldn't you? Don't you want to
right.
develop the criteria?
Well, this is what I was going to say first. You have a charter, you have a
Right.
job description, so you would be looking at
Oh,
those in the first instance, and as the appointing authority, if you are looking for candidates that have any additional skills, or if you've decided that, hey, we've built up enough bench in terms of other positions that we no longer need a town manager that does X, Y, and Z, then you would be doing that up front, right?
Mhm.
Because
Right.
but in terms of developing interview questions, or that certainly could be something that a consultant could help either you or the screening committee with.
One, if looking at a search committee, setting it up, do we try and, as you've seen in the past, what do you see? Do we try and get individuals who are not involved in town government things, or should we limit the number of people that are on committees in the town and so forth? I mean, how do you look at it in trying to to fill
Sure.
that search committee?
Sure. Well, so usually there's some representative of the taxpayers, folks who are not necessarily actively involved in town government, but maybe are, again, it's not atypical to have someone from the school community, so maybe they're active in the school. Sometimes there are folks who are established business owners in town, with whom the administration is going to need to work with, not necessarily that should influence the outcome. But I've had some towns that have had sort of local prominent business folks on their search committee. Again, a retired or former significant department head, or a former retired town administrator, town manager. Those folks are of a comparable size community with a similar demographic. That can be useful as well. That's sort of usually the breakdown of them.
So when we said retired employees as opposed to no current employees, does that go for people who serve on our boards and committees? Not that I think that anyone on our boards and committees are going to be like, yeah, I totally want to do that.
I mean, there's no legal bar against it
Okay.
necessarily, right? As long as you're not talking, I don't want to get into a whole conflict discussion, because that could be, we could spend 2 hours, and I'm sure you have many other things on your agenda to talk about. So, we don't typically see very active board and committee members also serve on the search committee. Maybe somebody who had been active in the past, but maybe has stepped back. Again, having the knowledge about how government works and what administration does can be very useful. But again, having sort of current members may set the stage for some potential conflicts moving forward.
Okay.
That's
Um,
great. If we do go with a search committee, can we have some staff person, somebody on payroll, assist them?
Absolutely.
I'm thinking, look, let me be blunt. We have an HR director. Can we have the HR director be the staff person for this search committee? Now, she would be there is a potential conflict, uh, but I think that there's some expertise that it may help as well. So I just ask if that's doable, or do you think that's not advisable?
No, it's possible. I think, there's a decision, and I'm sure Jackie has her own feelings on this, but, well,
Many things.
many feelings. But I was going to say, when you think about the life cycle, right? How are you going to handle the applications? Who are they going to go to? Who's going to get them to the consultant? All of those sort of very routine administrative tasks. I've had situations where the outgoing town manager says, I don't want any part of it, right? I want to ensure that my fingerprints are not, that no one is saying that I've put my thumb on the scale in any way, shape, or form. So it wouldn't be outside of the realm to have another confidential employee, at least work with, those sorts of procedural issues. A search committee is going to have to post agendas and take minutes as well. So, staff support could be provided for that. But again, I recommend that it be someone, in a confidential position. Because they're going to be looking at, confidential personnel information,
Right.
at least up
Mich-
until the stage in the process where it becomes public.
Michelle, there are also consultants who have outside PO boxes so that none of the applications come to town hall, because town halls are,
Right.
we can have leaks in town halls. And so
Yep, that's
they,
another option. If you go with
yeah.
a consultant, it's really up to you how you want to facilitate that.
Can I ask a question that's in the document that you provided?
Sure.
It mentions that purpose 8. And is that just your general what says
So I'm
you
sorry.
can hold an executive session?
Exactly. It is a specific executive session purpose for preliminary screening events.
Oh.
But they have to be done by a preliminary screening committee, which is not the full board of selectmen, or select board, excuse me.
Yeah, it just said a search committee may interview each candidate in an executive session if requirements of purpose 8 of open meeting law are met as described above. And I wasn't like super clear where that was
Sure.
described above.
Well, my apologies if that's
Or did you just above it?
well,
says
so
public
step 2, right? So basically they
to-
can meet in executive session pursuant to section 8 if the chair declares that an open meeting will have a detrimental effect upon
that's just-
in obtaining
okay.
qualified candidates or
Okay.
applicants. And
Okay.
usually that comes from, although it's not a hard and fast rule, but usually if one person says, please keep my application confidential at this time, at the beginning of the process, then that's, enough for a chair to reasonably declare that they think that an open interviews would have a detrimental effect on obtaining qualified applicants. But it's not absolutely required, right? If if the screening committee is looking at the landscape and they're talking to the consultant says, hey, I've had a bunch of interest, but folks, are from the area. They don't really want to throw their hat in the ring. If it's going to be public right away, I mean, that could give the chair, a reasonable belief that having interviews in open
And-
session would have a detrimental effect.
And if one person requests it, does that
That's good.
blanket apply to everybody? So like if the search
Yep.
committee gets one
Yep.
request.
Yeah, because that
everyone ends up-
basically signals to the search committee that that there is, at least one applicant who feels that they would not necessarily, want their candidacy to be known at this stage.
And that is that common?
Mhm.
I mean,
Yes.
Yes.
my understanding is that going into this process, it will be confidential until we reach the
So that it
finalists-
usually
finalists
it
part.
is. So usually it is confidential until you reach the finalist. If you use a screening
Okay.
committee and the screening committee and its chair, have a reasonable belief that the their parts of the process, the interview and the screening of applications, that they need that confidentiality in order to, have a good applicant pool, then that will carry through till we get to the finalist stage. Once the finalists are recommended, however, then the names of those finalists are public, although what I typically, and we're sort of jumping ahead in the process, but I typically advise that whether it's the consultant or, a point person that you have working with the search committee, when their work is done and they've got, let's say, 3 finalists, we generally do reach out to the finalists in advance and say, okay, you're being advanced to the next process, to give those folks an opportunity to say whether they really want to continue forward. Because at that point, their name is going to be, on the
Oh.
agenda for interviews and the like.
All right. With a search committee, do we have the authority to appoint the chair when we select the search committee? Or do they select the chair?
So there's no rules on who appoints the chair. Like you may have in your charter something that talks about, the select board at the first meeting, they'll elect the chair. But I think that you could, there's nothing that in the open meeting law that would preclude the select board from designating the chair, in my opinion.
Okay.
So it's maybe not a question for you, but we have a number of decision points, and I was wondering if someone was gonna compile a little list for us of the decision points.
Decision
Are we
points?
trying to make
But-
any of them now?
No.
No,
Okay,
No, I don't think so. I think
okay.
we wanted to find out what we can do, what we can't do,
Ground rules.
and what the
Yeah.
ground rules are, and then we'll figure out
Okay.
the course that we sort of want to try and make, and then maybe when we decide that course, we'll
Absolutely.
pass it by you to make sure we.
And
we
I was
haven't
just going to
tripped.
say, I'm available to you folks to as much or as little as you need me. But I do think it is a good idea to figure out your decision points, right? Do you
Mhm.
want a search committee? Do you want a consultant? How many people, what are you willing to spend for a consultant? How
Right.
many people, what's your ideal composition of a search committee? What's the search committee charges going to be? Are you going to say, at least 2, or do you want to say we want 4 or we want 5 candidates? Are you going to, what consideration is going to be given to internal candidates, right? Do you, as a matter of respect for the internal candidates, do you want to, ask the search committee to make sure that they all have interviews? I mean, those are all sorts of decision points that, I do think you want to come to consensus on up front so that you know what your charge to the search committee, if you use one, is going to be.
Mhm.
And you may want to dig up what you used last time,
That's
right? And
yeah.
Yeah,
and see if there's anything there that you want to change, or you want to, if we always say we don't reinvent the wheel, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, yes, that's the right
Yes.
thing. I got
Yeah,
it right.
that's
I didn't get
right.
it backwards.
That was gonna be my next question, is if that was the process for last time and if they have a charge.
Last time we hired a consultant.
Yep.
And the consultant met with you to walk through all these decision points.
Mm.
And then they asked you to do, for instance, for the job posting, what are you looking for? Go through all those things. So I would say for me, my recommendation for next steps is that you all start to think about, do you want to use a search committee, and who do you maybe think would be good for a search committee? And start thinking about that. And then for our next meeting, I'll try and get at least one consultant to come and talk to you and walk you through, because I think it's really, I wanted to start with the legal side and to what you can and can't do. But I also want you to meet with a consultant to talk through what are the implications of each decision. So if you do A and you have all open interviews, does that mean something for the pool of applicants? The consultant will go through those types of decisions with you.
Will they also have a better, like, tiered involvement of cost of, we talked about cost, and
I can get some
Mm.
estimates, but
Yeah,
it's not
of
going to
like-
be hugely expensive.
Oh,
No, and I
Oh,
think they
oh.
do offer, different amounts depending on what
Yeah,
level of
what you do.
involvement you want.
Well, right, and so I was wondering if they would be able to go over like, or maybe somebody give us
menu.
a menu would be great. A menu would be great, and even if it's a ballpark, because I'm like, how much does a banana cost? $10? I don't know. I haven't done this, so.
Right. Well, do we have any more
So the only
questions
other
for Michelle? Go ahead.
the only other thing I would throw out there, which would be good to discuss with a consultant, is what is the reasonable time frame these days?
Yeah.
I mean, you are starting, you know, with a good amount of time, but there have been a number of searches in recent days where people have pulled out at the last minute, and then you're down to one person, and so you have to start, where they're using a search committee, and you might have to start over. Or where a select board didn't want to go with anybody that was
Right.
any of the options recommended by the search committee. And those are all things that, you can watch on YouTube or local cable access. I'm not telling you anything that's confidential. But, my sense of timing may be very different from what you're anticipating, which may be very different from what the consultant is seeing. So I think that's a really important question to ask the consultant. What are they thinking is a realistic time frame for this process?
Jackie,
'Cause I
did they use a search committee for you?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know if they used what kind of outside folks they used besides, not using staff?
They hired an outside consultant.
No, I meant on the search
On the
committee.
committee, were they all Eastham residents or do you?
I think
recall?
they were all Eastham residents. I'm trying to think if there was another town manager or there was another staff from another town, I think, but I'm not sure. Mostly it was town
Mostly Eastham.
residents.
And I
Yeah.
can't remember if I met with the select board and the search committee or just one or either of them.
Yeah.
I'm spacing on that right now.
And it
but
was Joe Allen. The consultant was Joe
That's
Allen.
right. Okay, so that was
Gov HR.
Gov
yeah.
HR.
Right.
And she comes from Chicago. She is more expensive, would be my guess. Just because she's,
From Chicago.
Although we didn't, we do have a lot more remote technology than we
Right.
did back then, Jackie.
Yes.
So
That's
maybe
true.
maybe able to take advantage of that to winnow the cost down.
Right. Any other questions? Bob?
Just, a lot to think about. Just thinking about how we would interview people. It's typically a hiring manager, which is essentially us.
Mhm.
And then I like the idea of, having the finalists come and talk to some members of staff. I've seen that work very well as well.
Mhm.
The only issue is if all of a sudden the staff balks and says this person is not that great, what do you do? Because
You just take that under advisement.
Right.
And
Yeah,
you're going to be
course.
looking at my experience usually, and Eastham is a very we're not a divisive place, right? So anytime we've used staff teams, it is amazing how close, the hiring authority, the staff team, and say we had a meet and greet with board and committee members so they could ask the 3 candidates or the 4 candidates questions too. You can do all that stuff sort of on the same day so that it doesn't inconvenience the candidate and you're getting input from other sources. And usually the person rises to the top.
Right.
I have real faith in that process. I think involving staff in some way on that
So too.
is really
Yeah.
good.
Now, I was also thinking about the search committee. When you said Eastham residents, it would be great if we knew that, somebody from the finance committee, somebody from this committee, that committee, but I don't think we're going in that direction. I think we're also kind of, are we excluding people
Well,
like
I think
that?
that's one of the choices
I know.
that we're gonna have to make is whether or not, that's why I asked the question, do you get a committee that has individuals involved in government? In other words, someone from the finance.
It's all
committee,
about
someone from
how
planning.
well are they going to work together? I mean, so, that's why I would think that's in the hiring management concept. You would put that person in front of everybody else that was a significant senior person who they would be working with. And that's somehow got to be woven into this process.
Well, if I could, when you do your meet and greet with staff, you could also do a meet and greet with key committees.
Yeah, I
The
think-
chairs of key committees.
I don't think you have to ignore someone who's on an active committee. I think you just have to
No, I
be
agree.
careful of how many of those people and what type of person they are, how well they can be objective and work with a group of people and.
I think that's a way to go. It's all by individual.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you want to also, if you take someone who's actively on a committee, you want to make sure that the search committee doesn't defer to this quote town expert because they've been involved with the committee. I mean, you want to have a search committee where everyone feels as though they're equal and their point of view is and their input is as valuable as the next person's, and to try and come up with a consensus to bring forth the number of candidates that we have
Which is
asked.
another reason why Jackie's comment, it depends on the person you're picking.
Yeah,
It really does.
Well, and I also think it's all about balance, not only balance of
mhm.
personalities and individuals, but balance of representation, the different sectors that you're trying to bring into the equation, right? And so those are all things that, again, decision points for you folks. I am sure that any consultant would be able to tell you what they've seen has worked in terms of the demographic composition of search committees. Usually by the time I get involved, the search committee's already been picked. So, I think the consultant would better be able to tell you sort of what they think has been most successful in terms of the balance of the committee.
all right,
Fair enough.
that's good. Any other questions for Michele? Michele, thank you
All right,
for your
folks.
time. Thank
Good
you for
night,
being here.
And I next time I'll have me come down in person. I don't want to only see you folks only at town meeting.
Okay, well,
Thank
See you
you.
soon.
we appreciate it. Thank you
Bye.
very much.
Bye
We'll
now.
be back in touch, I'm sure.
Thank you.
And before we move on, I'll make a list of things that I think we need to make decisions on within the next month and see if I can get a consultant here for your next meeting. At least one.
Thank you, Jack. All right.
But I want you to have a consultant, honestly, that will design a process that's unique to what you five want. And so I think the most important thing to start thinking about now is what is it that you want? And to try and start writing down some of those things. What kind of values do you want? What kind of a leadership role do you want this person to play? How formal, informal, all of those things.
Right. Will they laugh at my jokes?
Right, exactly. That's important, Jerry.
All right, on to the next Windmill Weekend Planning. Gergana, you can sit there or you can stand, whatever
Oh,
you.
she's been sitting and waiting.
Okay, well, you can do whatever. Just make sure the green light's on.
I'll say though that we nailed it at 6:15 and I love that for us.
That's amazing.
It's
I get extra points. Go ahead.
Thank
Yeah, thank you.
the opportunity. I hope everyone can hear me well. Yes, so a couple of things that I would like to update everybody and you guys as well. The team this year is out of this world again. We are gonna
Out of this world.
Yes, out of this world. We are making a couple of changes in the schedule. The first one will be and art will be on Friday before the talent show, and that's all connected with the tides. So we're gonna have that, and then everybody is invited to the talent show at the Elks Club, and we're gonna still have the Elks Club will still have the fish dinner going, and we invite everybody to join. We add another shuttle stop at Eastham Mercantile because the touch and truck will be at the Gift Barn.
Where?
The Gift Barn.
Oh, okay.
The golf club. There The road race is open. I encourage everyone to sign up. We would like definitely to have more people coming to that. The beer garden will be open 2 days. We have many activities planned on the green. We have the musicians coming again, food trucks. The raffle, it's gonna be on full power too, and we have a new merch designs. So I hope everyone will like what we are planning. Have 1 more month to go.
Yeah, give us the dates again.
The dates are September 5th. We're gonna have the talent show and the Sand Art on September 5th. Then September 6th and 7th, everything will be on the green. The
Okay.
parade will be on September 7th,
And is the parade starting at 10 o'clock?
10 o'clock.
Yeah, that's great.
And that's Sunday, right?
Sunday,
Yeah.
yes.
So we have to
Down the
start
middle of
thinking
Route
of,
6.
start thinking about themes for the parade.
This
Out of
works.
this world.
Yeah, but.
What we have to do?
Yeah. It's a crazy
Interpret
team
that
you joined
many
up.
different ways.
Many ideas.
Hey, we have a red v- Beetle convertible. We
Oh.
think about for out of this world. this year.
Bugs. Bugs are in the world though.
Bugs, yeah,
Space bugs.
It could make a good spaceship, I suppose.
Space
Yeah.
bugs.
good. All right.
Hit you and Laurie.
Later, we're gonna take your name up later, and I'm sorry that you're leaving the Recreation Committee. but,
Yes, it's something that I loved doing, and being part of this town was always been like really special for me. I'm gonna stay on the Windmill weekend, which is great.
That's,
Yay, thank you.
Yes.
that's great.
Yeah, but thank you so much.
Don't be
for
a
your time.
stranger.
Yes, no, that's
Good.
impossible.
Good.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, next, Karen, you're up from Strauss from the
I know we're ahead of schedule. It's unbelievable.
Conservation Group, but Karen's here, so it's not like, just make sure the green light is on there, Karen,
She's a
and,
pro.
yeah.
Done this a few times,
Done it a
but
few
usually
times?
not from this side of the table. A little bit.
Sorry, you don't
different.
get a comfy chair tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was talking about that with somebody earlier. But thank you for having me tonight. I want to talk about some of the issues with Concom recruiting. We are down 2 members of a 7-member board. One of the vacancies has been for 2 years. One, somebody decided not to have another term, and we just lost them at the end of June. So now we're down to 5. Our quorum nominally is 4. And I'll get into that in a minute. In fact, I just had to email everybody today to find out if they're going to show up tomorrow because somebody told me they can't be there.
Mm.
So this is a problem across regulatory boards in town and has been an ongoing issue for a long time. I'm in my 9th year on the commission, and it's been a problem for every one of those years. Regulatory boards are essential to the town. They're a required legal entity, a service that we are required to provide. And if we don't have a quorum, we lose the ability to have home rule on wetlands and other issues. And with Concom, we have very peculiar quorum issues. You have to have been seated on the commission when a notice of intent or an RDA opens. You are allowed to miss 1 meeting, and you can cure that by watching meeting videos and
Mm.
doing the appropriate things. You miss the 2nd meeting, you're out of the quorum forever. And that's not an issue if we manage to permit something usually in 1 or 2 meetings. We've gotten very, very efficient in the last few years, but some hearings go on for months. We have one now that's going to be going on for 5 months. We had one last year that went on for more than a year before they had to withdraw and regroup. So that becomes an issue. And we've had near quorum misses even with 6 people on the commission. So, and then we're burdened by statutory deadlines. So we have to have the first, unless we get a waiver, we have to hold the first hearing of notice of intent or request for determination of applicability within 21 days of the application being submitted. Um, unless there's a waiver, they don't have to give us a waiver. Once we close a hearing, we have 21 days in which to sign the permits, the orders of conditions, and get them out, or we lose home rule authority. So we have to have wet signatures because the registry of deeds in Barnstable won't allow us to do electronic ones. We've explored that option. And so it's very important that we do have more than 5 members on the board. Recruitment has been an ongoing issue. The search committee does their best, but Concom meets twice a month. We have site visits twice a month. That's more than any of the other regulatory boards. We have this unfortunate perception that our meetings run on forever into the middle of the night, and that is very much outdated. Currently, we usually manage to do 2-hour meetings, though we sometimes have 4. We recently did 33 minutes flat, and
Nice.
I know that's kind of
That's a record. Yeah.
but we've had a few that are under an hour, but we're averaging maybe 2 to 3 hours, which is, it comes consistently. We're permitting things usually in 1 to 2 meetings, unless something is very complicated or the applications are incomplete or the applicant asks for continuances. So it really has gotten much more efficient. We've given over some of the admin reviews to Alex, our agent, to handle on his own. So we've really tried to make the most best use of our most important resource, which is time, our time and staff time. So people when I've reached out said, too much time, I can't do it. The meetings run forever. And then it does require some specialized knowledge. And people have come in without that. And I can guarantee their first year will feel like deer in headlights, new language, all the regulatory stuff, the science stuff, site plans. We do have training, but that's another time commitment. So that scares people off. I've done a lot of outreach and people are too busy. Newly retired people don't want to get back into volunteering. People have work, they have families. We have a lot of people who are here part-time, full-time residents, but are out of town half the year, which makes it difficult for them to sit on a regulatory board. I've had people come up to me and say, can I timeshare the seat?
I like
And I
that
would have
idea.
liked to say yes to that, but we don't have that option.
Yeah.
So
A quick question. You mentioned the site visits and the meetings. Are site visits also mandatory to have like a quorum or have?
no, and
They're not. Okay.
You can do a site visit on your own, but we have a scheduled one Tuesday mornings, the same day as the standing meeting, which certainly can make for a long day.
Yeah.
But
Do you ever film those? Like, so if people can't make it, they can review?
no.
No.
You
I'm
either-
curious, just
you-
if people are out of town and they can zoom into the meeting,
Mhm.
but obviously they can't see the site visit. I wonder if there's some.
So we do have people
Accommodation.
take photos
Okay.
for us, and the people who do go on the site visit do give us their observations.
Okay.
Specifically, you also have satellite photos from
Sure.
Google to look at, and you have GIS data and other things
Right.
to evaluate the site with. In
Yeah,
fact,
but nothing beats being on
but
the
nothing
ground,
beats
seeing.
being on the ground. You're looking at site plans and you're trying to translate them into what the terrain actually looks like. And you
Exactly.
can get a rough idea, but you don't really get the sense of the whole
Hmm.
place and the neighbors and everything else and what's going on unless you're out there. So it is a big ask,
Yeah.
and that has definitely scared people away.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Karen, you're really looking, is there something we can do to try and enhance recruitment? In other words, is that, I'm not saying that I have any idea what to do at this point, but you'd like to see if we can get a few more people. I mean, I had an interview with someone I thought would be great for it, and he wasn't ready for it at this point, but I have him in mind, so we'll keep trying. But but are you looking for more outreach, maybe something that the town can do to try to advertise this, to try and encourage people to do? I mean, what kind of thing are you looking for here?
First of all, I think just by being here, that's more outreach and more people will understand that we have a need and maybe think about it a little bit. But I think it needs to shift more of kind of a HR kind of approach. The search committee does its best, but they're set up on a model that seems largely to be people coming in and saying, I'd like to volunteer.
Yes. Yes.
Regulatory boards have different needs than that, that people are not coming in and saying, I want to do this. You have to go out and find them. All the people I've ever recruited who did serve, I had to go out and find them, or
Fine.
Jackie found somebody for me, or
Right.
I've had Alex and Hillary, and I've asked a number of chairs of other boards to speak to their members and just spreading out, but it needs maybe more advertising. It needs to have a very proactive, targeted approach that I think is more consistent with trying to hire somebody for a town job than appointing somebody to a regular committee. And we haven't done that. We haven't done advertising. I mean, we even went and tried to get the people who work at Coastal Studies who now live in Eastham to try and volunteer. I can tell you that was a definite no.
Yeah. What's attractive about being on the ConsCom since you're here?
Well, I think Concom is a very important role in town because so much of our identity is taken up with wetland resources, with waterways. So much of our current concern is with coastal resiliency and erosion and trying to protect the town from flooding and storm events, trying to protect groundwater. And Concom, you have that authority to have direct action here. It's not just in how we're looking at the permitting and conditioning projects so that they either improve the resource area or have the most minimal impact possible, but we're also developing regulations to strengthen our ability to protect these resources. And by being a member of CONCOM, you get to participate in all of that.
Thanks. And I think I know that the town has made it more difficult in the past to be a ConsCom member because we haven't always had consistent staffing or sufficient staffing in the ConsCom. And I think that it has really changed. And we have a fabulous agent who's very
We have a fabulous staff.
very consistent. The administrative assistant is excellent, and Hillary is also really involved with conservation. So we really have a lot more staff presence and support than we used to. So that would make it more attractive if anyone's even thinking about it out there.
Because
Right.
it was a part-time position, the conservation
Well, it
agent.
used to be a full-time position. Then for a short period, it was a part-time
Part-time
position, which
position.
didn't really work well.
No.
And then we had a little while with nobody in between. And Alex has been great.
Yeah, we're fully staffed now.
And I think we're doing the best we've done since I've been on the commission.
I agree.
And, for anybody who wants to participate in this, we do have training. The Massachusetts Association of Conservation Commissions does excellent training. It does require you to actually sit in front of a screen because there's a live instructor who will answer questions as you go through it, but that will bring people up to speed pretty quickly. We do have the great staff in the conservation office, and we have experienced people on the commission who can support anybody who wants to try this out. And I have been suggesting to people when I talk to them that maybe they try it on for a year.
Yeah,
3 years is a big commitment for
Yeah.
something like this that you've never tried before.
right.
And watching the meetings gives you some sense, but you're not really digging in the packet and having to make the decisions. And decisions have real implications, legal and financial for people.
And I do think it's one board, like planning and zoning, it's very hard to, if you're not sitting there with the packet and especially the plans in front of you, it's very difficult to follow along sometimes if you're just watching a meeting.
Right, we do try often to have the plans up on the screen, but
Yeah.
it's not the same as
Right.
sitting
looking at it.
down with it and spending time and reading the narratives and
Yeah.
and having the site visits. So the other option we should think of in this is that we do not have alternates.
Mm.
It's not part of the WPA to have alternates, and other commissions some commissions around the state have reached out for special legislation from the general court for
Okay.
this. And it won't help us necessarily. It might help us fill seats, because if we also had alternates, some of the people who wanted to participate part-time might be available, and then people might feel like they have the opportunity to have some time off.
Mhm.
Take a right now, we've got 5 of us, so I told people at one of our recent meetings that we're going to have to plan very carefully about who's taking time off when. If we
Right.
had alternates, then they could be assigned to a particular case and people would have a little more freedom. We've got people who have jobs on the commission. We have people who have family needs or health issues. So they do sometimes take up rather abruptly.
So you need 4 for a quorum.
We need
Yeah.
4 for a
Yeah.
quorum. We need 4 qualified people for a
Well,
quorum.
right. I mean, even
So-
right now you have 5, you need 4 because 7 is your full
Right.
board.
Right.
Yeah, you
That's a-
need you need more people. I mean, the
We
thing
really
here
need
is
more people.
we
Yeah.
need some more people and
I
try
wrote
and
down 4 names, so
Is
I'm gonna
is
be.
there
I have
any,
two
figure out how
people
to
I'm gonna
do
be
it.
hitting up.
is there any legal impediment to adding members? Do we have to have 7? Because if we added members, then
The
we might be able to
WPA
do
has a-
part-time members.
I think the WPA has a maximum.
Okay.
Of 7,
Yeah,
Yeah, but adding members would increase the quorum count too.
yeah.
not if we could get alternates like she was
Alternates
So if
saying.
you not to
But-
get alternates, right? If you get alternates,
Is-
you can do that.
Is there someone who's spearheading the special legislation to the state? And is there a way that this board can support that
Well, I
effort?
think you did it with the Board of Health, I believe, and that
Okay.
went through town meeting.
Yep.
And I have gathered some of the documents that some other towns have done. to-
Perfect.
To do
Yeah.
that, so I'd be happy to work on that. I think we'd need town
Okay.
council input perhaps as well, so maybe this is something we can aim for the 2026 town meeting.
So it's something that the whole state this whole
No.
state doesn't need to make,
No, it's special legislation.
or just us?
It's been one of these town by town.
Oh,
Yeah.
Some people call it alternates and some people call it
Is there some,
else, but
oh, sorry, Karen,
yeah, go ahead.
continue.
No, I was just talking about the same thing. Go ahead.
Is there some, for want of a better term, PR that the town can try and do to try and say, hey, we need people, try to encourage people to do it? Is there something that you see that the town could do to assist in that? Getting the word out more, that we need people on this committee, this commission is important to the town. It keeps the Eastham what it is and what you remember, and that to try and see if we can get some people. I mean, is that something that you think might help? I don't.
Yeah, I think maybe a newspaper ad and talking about what we need and what kind of qualifications we might be looking for. But I also think that instead of having the search committee assist, we might, Jackie had recommended maybe Kayla help with the outreach.
But I was gonna suggest.
Yeah, listen,
I think if Kayla meets with Karen and Alex, right, we start there with that little subcommittee. I think that would get us.
Use some of the video footage
Look
from
at
our
the-
town
look at-
meeting video.
look at the PR, yeah, what we did with the,
Yeah.
just on wastewater and some of the things we had out. We can do things. I don't know if we would get someone to come in. I mean, I talked with the person I was certain would be great for COTSCOM, but he says, no, I don't want to do that right now.
Right, and that's
it's
the
small.
general answer that I've gotten
But I-
over and
Yeah.
over.
The alternate thing is important because if you can sit on a board like the planning board does and you can listen.
Mhm.
And then you're kind of tapped into a case and then you have to attend all the meetings where that case is discussed. I think that really does make it easier it's less pressure for people, right? Because it's hard to jump on the CONSCOM and,
Yeah.
be a functioning member. There's a huge learning curve. There is. Just
Uh,
like the Board of Select Board and we, right? I mean, it feels strange at first.
Well,
Strange.
Suzanne
Always-
knows this.
Yes, yeah.
I tell everyone conscom's harder than the select board.
Don't, well,
I
that's not
shouldn't say that.
helpful.
No, but I did actually I did seek out conscom because I was interested in all of those things
Yeah,
that
yeah.
Karen had mentioned, that I was interested in our coasts and climate change and sea level rise, and we have a lot of coastline, and it is a busy commission compared, like not all towns conservation commissions are this busy, depending on how much coastline they have, so.
Well, we have 37.4 miles of tidal coastline.
Wow.
Plus we have freshwater wetlands as well.
Yes.
And we're not like a super big town.
So let's start with trying to get 2 one-year appointments.
Yeah.
Like you're right. I mean, that's less of a commitment. That's 24 meetings maximum, right? So
See how they like
commit
it.
to that and see.
What about posting things like at the library or other more social gathering locations?
We'll do once she and Karen and Alex, once they figure out what they need and she makes it pretty, then we can send it out
Right.
to a lot of different places. I think this first step is to, not let us who know less about the conscom than Karen and Alex do the,
Right.
And if people do have the trainings that are offered are really interesting, and there's a lot of them.
they're free. You
And
can
they're
do them.
free,
Well,
and
the town pays.
Oh, the
They're
town
not
pays.
free.
They're free to the members.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah, and so it is a rather technical board in that you're reviewing plans and this, that, and the other thing. But if you have interest in protecting our coastlines
Right.
and how that interacts with houses, and also you guys write regulations that are going to impact the future of Eastham. So,
Yeah. Well, we have a great resource in Kayla, and let's use her and try and see if we can start to
okay.
improve some things and get some things coming in. I think that's a great first step. Thanks for
So I just do want to make a pitch
Go ahead.
for newbies also.
what?
Newbies, people who don't have any experience coming in. This is an excellent way to learn about the resources of Eastham and the town. And we do have excellent training opportunities here. So if you're coming in with an interest in wanting to protect the town and these resources, this might be a good way to learn. It's also a good opportunity for people who want to build up a resume, our younger population who's looking for that. So,
Yeah.
I agree.
Oh,
Karen,
thank you.
thank
Thank
you
you.
very
Thank
much
you.
for
Yeah.
coming. I appreciate it. And that you had to sit through a little bit, but
Oh,
thank
that
you
was
for
very
sitting
interesting.
Okay, good.
Karen is a bit of a
That's
jet.
excellent. All right. Next on the agenda is administrative matters, and the first one is Timothy Smith Fund. I finally did get a hold of Madeline's dad, and she's, I think, going to call me tomorrow. So we'll
Okay,
put this
great.
one off for next
Next
meeting
meeting.
because I want to get it done and help this student to move on to higher education and be a success. So the second thing is the select board liaison assignments. Now, Jamie's gone, so using Suzanne's idea, anything you don't want, we can put off on Jamie, but
I wish I'd let you know that I'll just keep what I have before last meeting. but
last meeting,
I
yeah,
didn't- I
I
didn't,
don't, I think that everybody, last meeting, we just waited for you, Amy, because
Thank you.
just in case that, I
Exactly.
think everybody was pretty well set.
Yeah.
Keep them as is we set there.
Okay,
All right, I don't
Yeah.
think we need a vote on that. We
Nope.
just, that's just what we do.
stay the course.
Now, 3 is the special appointment. We have a vacancy in the regional school committee. And we have the authority to appoint someone, even though it's an elected position, to appoint someone until the next town election. In other words, until May in that seat. Maura, who is the vice chair of the regional school committee and also our other Eastham representative, had found Sarah Stair, who was interested in it. I think that I did have sent a letter she sent to us. I did speak with her. She was a teacher in Fairfax County, Virginia, science, moved up here, and because there were no vacancies in the public schools, worked at Sturgis East for 7 years teaching science, and is retired and now would like to is interested in looking at this. She sees this as it's a test for me. It's only until May, and I can decide whether to go, and the town can decide whether they like me or not in May if I decide to move forward. We had an excellent discussion. She, her idea with working with public schools, where there was a board of supervisors in Fairfax County who the school board would give their budget, and the supervisors would change it or tell you this is how much you get, and this is not the way we work here with 4 towns. And so we had a long discussion on that. And she was pretty much up on it. She was also someone who was on a committee to Fairfax County has a test in school, Thomas Jefferson High School, and she was on part of the selection for that, and thought that that was just really tough. Glad that she doesn't have anything like that here. But she had her biggest question, her biggest concern was, I never had a child in the Nauset Regional Schools. And I said, well, that's not really a requirement. She was worried about that. And so I told her, from my perspective, that wasn't it. Maura has a child, you're an educator. That would cover the whole base. So I enthusiastically recommend that we appoint Sarah Stair to the Regional School Committee until the next election, May 2026. And that would be a position, she knows that then in May 2026, there will be election for that position to go to May 2027, which is when it ends. So that she's aware of all of that. So any questions?
It's like a motion on that.
I would, if you want to give a motion to appoint her, I will.
I move that we appoint Sarah Stair to the Regional School Committee.
A second?
Second.
I don't care.
Right.
Well, we'll make Amy get that second.
Okay.
Okay. Any discussions? All right. We'll vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? 4-0. Thank you. Welcome, Sarah, if you're watching.
That's right.
Committee reappointments. Board of Health, Paige Mansfield. Anybody, any issues?
No.
Motion to,
I move that we reappoint Paige Mansfield to the Board of Health.
Second.
second? For discussion? None? All in favor? Opposed? None? All right. Other appointments, number 5. I think these are appointments that are done by other committees. It's just informational. No, they're not all informational.
Forest Advisory is
No, Forest Advisory, I have to have a recommendation on that.
but that's it. Other than the others are.
Just fine. Forest Advisory, Elizabeth Bailey, and I can't pronounce the last name even though I interviewed her. I'm sorry.
Strzelski.
Strzelski.
Krastelsky. Yeah.
Elizabeth is right at the moment, a part-time resident, which doesn't, but she has worked with the Forest Advisory Committee for 2 years. She's a landscaper and more of a looking at natural landscapes and so forth. And I guess the plans are that she will move to Eastham at some point within the next 5 years. But the committee chair was really enthusiastic. She's enthusiastic, very much into it. And she was, I think we just lost something on the screen. Okay. Very enthusiastic, and the committee has loved working with her for the past 2 years. So this was, from my perspective, pretty much a no-brainer. Motion to
So the first three appointments are only for your knowledge,
acknowledge, yes.
Okay.
So we're appointing Elizabeth
and Joanne.
Joanne?
to the Forest Advisory Committee, right?
Oh, so the first.
Oh,
four
okay,
are
so it is just Elizabeth.
Just a little.
Just the last
Yeah.
Yeah, could we have them separated out?
Well, we just have to do the last one.
Okay, so,
You don't have to vote on the first.
Just,
four.
yeah, the first four, we don't have to vote
First
on,
word
just
of
Elizabeth.
information.
okay. So I move we appoint Joanne.
No, not
No,
from,
Elizabeth.
None of
Elizabeth.
those.
from the council.
Said the fourth one, 1, 2, 3, 4.
No, four of them are already appointed by other people, just the fifth one.
Oh, well then I'm not gonna do it.
I move that we appoint Elizabeth Bailey Stratelski to the Forest Advisory Committee.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Done. Committee resignations. From the Historical Commission, Marie Forjan, and from the Recreation Committee, Gergana.
And if we're sending thank you notes, Marie has been on that committee for many, many years.
We're sending,
Yeah.
thank you. I'm a little behind, but I'm
And
sending.
Gergana has done so much work for the town, so we'll
Yes.
really miss you.
Yeah.
So do I hear a motion to accept these resignations?
I move we accept the resignations.
But not with a smile.
Never.
Second.
Second, although unless you're going to something much better. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
We're skipping number 7.
Skip number 7, there's no need for it. We were. The final draft of the seasonal communities
Oh, yeah,
letter,
was
which
great.
Rich had raised brought before us last meeting, and we had some discussions, some suggestions up. And I think we turned to him to see what the results were of sending that back.
Everything that you sent to the other towns was accepted, so it was great feedback. And the only other change, it just came in late this afternoon. Wellfleet finally got back to them, and just no change to any of the recommendations, but just further information about their fishing industry, clarifying a couple points of the productivity of their shellfish.
Great.
Okay. So now we want to approve this now? Is that what we're looking for?
They're looking for you to sign on to the letter, yeah.
So that we would Eastham will sign on to the letter with the other Lower Cape towns.
Right.
Yeah, and it's you and Jackie that they put for the chair of the board and the town manager.
Right.
So that'll be easy.
So do I hear a motion?
I'll make a mo.
Can I just ask a
Yes.
question before we do that?
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that some of the discussion that we had, and I don't want to try to search through this. You guys will probably know if it's in there or not. That we can include exemptions for the real estate transfer fee defined by each town.
Yes, that's
Yes,
exactly what it
yes,
says
That's
now.
exactly the way,
Okay.
they accepted that change.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Now, I'm done.
Now you said, now we need a motion.
I move that we accept and it's not approve, it's we endorse.
Yeah,
Or
that's
we
it.
join.
We join in the covenant of 3 towns that will support this seasonal community designation for Eastham.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? That's good. Well, we're on to the town manager's report.
Yeah, and I just have a couple of highlights. My report is online in the packet if anyone wants to read it, but I wanted to point out that we are taking applications for the residential tax exemption It is not a cumbersome application. It does require a couple of pieces of information, and if you need help, assessing is happy to help, but that really needs to be done within the next 2 months, absolutely, so.
Yeah,
encourage people
I
to-
checked in the assessor's office today. They have 800 and some completed applications, so
Yeah, and
we
we're
need a lot
looking-
more than
yeah.
that.
So that's
We do.
not even a third. We're not
Right.
even a third.
Not even a third.
Question on that.
Yes.
Are we also is the process also including Plan B? So for example, if the RTE didn't pass, and that's probably, and I don't want to think about this, but if somebody was not
Go ahead.
present,
If we didn't do it, go ahead.
yeah, if somebody wasn't, if it didn't pass, do we have the ability to produce the tax forms for all of Eastham? Or has there already been a cutover?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So basically, it just wouldn't move forward. If you vote no, it won't move forward. The people that have already applied might write to you, but they won't get the exemption. They'll get their normal tax bill.
That's what I'm saying, where the normal tax bills are on hand.
Yeah, we,
Well,
use
there's
a
stuff.
outside printing company. So we are ready to do anything,
Okay.
up until your tax classification hearing. And when
Okay.
you vote, make those decisions, then we move forward. Generally, we know which direction we're going, but,
Right.
Yeah.
I just wondered if somebody got hit by a bus and the thing didn't go forward, what would we do?
You don't do anything,
You don't do
Bob.
anything. Nothing would change.
You would, in
Correct.
our memories.
Yeah.
Got
Oh,
Yes.
But we were talking about the first meeting in September, doing the kid tax classification hearing.
Yes,
Is
we
that
pushed it.
still on track?
Yeah, I don't think so, because
the
we
eighth.
usually do that the last meeting in August, but we pushed it the first meeting in September to try and give a
Capture as
longer
many.
period for people to do it, and that's when everything will be set.
Is that the latest?
well, we can
Do-
go, we could, you won't really get in trouble from the state up through December and to hit in January, but we just can't do that. That, we need the cash flow. So that's why having the tax classification hearing early in August was so important. It gave us a lot of substantial cash flow, and our residents liked it because especially people that are snowbirds, they get their bills in before the Labor Day and they can take care of business. And it's also when a lot of our residents have the extra cash to pay the bill. So having it early has a lot of benefits. But the typical due date for a real estate tax bill is December 1, and it's you got 30 days to pay it from issuance of the bill, which brings you back to November 1. So September, early September, and then we need about 2 weeks to process it with the printer and get it ready for mailing. So a September 7th or 8th date, I think it is, plus a couple other weeks gets you to about the 20th or so. And then that's when we'll be sending them out. Otherwise, we'd have to wait. We'd miss the October, did I say December 1? I meant November 1.
Yeah.
October 1, you want them out. So if you wait till your second meeting in September, we'd probably miss the October 1 date.
So
And then
less than a
really-
month. Yeah, we don't want that. Okay,
Yeah, no,
thank
you
you.
want
That's
to
what I
have
was
like
looking
6
for.
weeks to have
Yeah,
people. pay.
that's what I figured.
Right, and if my memory, in that September meeting, we're going to vote on the class, we're going to vote on the tax rate as well then, right? Am
Mhm.
I correct?
Not on the tax rate, but you'll have to vote on the percentage of the exemption you want to extend.
Percent of exemption and then, okay.
And then the rate gets calculated
The
after
rate
that.
gets calculated after that. All right.
And it gets calculated by how many people qualify. If we do the exemption, how many people qualify versus how many not, right?
Well, the rate won't change, the tax rate, but the amount of exemptions extended will, because we're just shifting it from one class of taxpayers to another class.
Right, but doesn't it take into account how many people qualify or how many people have,
No,
we just use what we think?
we know what our total value is and we know the appropriations we need to raise. So we will know based on how many people have applied, how many get the reduction, but it's also added to another group. So we're raising the same amount of money.
Oh, I realize that. I realize we're raising the same, but I know the rate has to go up overall, then you take away the exemptions.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that.
'Cause
I'll have to-
You end up with the same pot of money, you just have to rate, everybody pays a higher rate. going in, like if we authorize, it doesn't matter what the exemption is, if it's 5, 10, 15, 20%. The whole entire rate has to go up some to accommodate for the exemptions that people are going to get.
Amy, let me, there's something I can't do off the top of my head. So let me run some calculations and I'll email you guys an answer tomorrow on what that looks like. I don't think that's.
I
the
mean,
case, though.
we have the numbers if everybody applied that was qualified, what the overall tax rate would change to authorize an exemption. So I'm wondering if we only get half the people, does that affect how much that tax rate goes up?
And that's, I'm just, I can't work that out in my
Okay,
head right now. So that's
okay.
why let me run that so I don't give the wrong information and let me
Okay.
get that to you. But definitely does affect those that don't apply that subsequently apply. That's what
Oh,
the
yeah.
issue we've been talking about, right? with
Right,
the
right.
Overlay.
And the only other big thing I have is I know there's a lot of concern about beach closures and mosquitoes this year, and both of those are addressed in my report. And also there's some supplemental materials from health about what causes a beach closure and all of that. It is not a local regulation. It is a state regulation that controls bathing beaches. But Hillary also goes into risks versus, people don't need to panic. They just need to be aware.
Are we able to put both of her statements as like an email blast so that if people go to the town website, it's
Yes.
on, or they get an email about it? Because
Oh.
it's a lot and it's complicated and it's more than anyone can explain
get
in the
it out.
comment
Just
section of Facebook.
Get it out as best as we can.
Okay. Because I
I
really
don't
liked
think
it.
We can't send something automatically when someone emails us about it, but.
No, I just meant like,
Email
I don't know
blast.
how our email notification system works. If it goes on the website, if it also gets sent to an
Yes.
email list. So, but I liked it so much that I was like, oh, this would be really great for,
And it is being disseminated.
okay, sweet.
To give oh, go ahead, Bob.
Just Rich asked, I asked you a bunch of questions in that note we exchanged, and I thought you did a really good job of answering it all. The only thing I was concerned about was when would the signage be ready? We're looking at putting up these metal signs on every beach that would be closed, there would be continuity, it would be a larger print. What's the time frame for that?
I don't know yet. I was out today and didn't have a chance to follow up with the staff or
Okay.
Jackie on the issue, but
Usually it's like 2 weeks, but I think they were ordered last week, so.
That's great. And I think the only other question I have, which is the real missing link, is the root cause. We've got all these contributing factors, but we're just really stuck, I think, in terms of trying to figure out what's going on.
No one can tell you what the root cause is.
Yeah, well,
If
that's,
it's like DNA testing or something, and that's not.
yeah,
gonna
and
happen.
no. I just know that it's, well, we all have our suspicions, but there's nothing else we can do, I presume. I want to make sure of that. I mean, there's nothing else the health department would do or could do to isolate this.
No.
well, I think one misconception though, that maybe we could talk about is, this is a bacterial issue caused by fecal material, contaminants, right? Which is different than leaching of septic systems with the nitrogen issue. So people conflate the two. This isn't caused from the nitrogen leaching from Title V systems into the groundwater, which is a problem, which is why we're doing our wastewater planning. But this issue is bacterial issue with fecal contamination. So, we don't have septic systems overflowing fecal matter onto the beaches, right? I mean, we don't have cesspools on the beaches.
I think we may have a situation that is not optimal, that has a spillage potential that I don't know where to take that.
Health department,
Okay.
100%. It's the only place to take it.
It's a possibility that I don't want to be, I don't want to speak at a turn on it, so I'll talk to somebody else on it.
Hillary.
Hillary, yeah.
And this is one of the reasons why we don't allow dogs on beaches. It's not just because
Oh,
it
of
can
course.
cause
Right.
conflicts, it's because it has the potential to close public beaches to swimming, and the town is trying to address stormwater impacts, but it is really all.
And it is, after a heavy rain, if they test right after a heavy rain, we always fail. The beach always fails. So it's just a matter of like rinsing everything into the water and you get that one sample. So I don't want people to overreact to it or underreact to it. I want them to, I'd be able to read like Hillary's thing on what bacteria it is and what it will do to you and what it won't do to you. And so that they can make, good decisions about whether they're swimming or not.
All right, I'm gonna change direction on that to mosquitoes. Shout out to Mosquito Control
Yes.
Commission. Joanna emailed them this morning because
Mhm.
we have to run from our house to the car.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's awful. Absolutely awful. And so last year we contacted them and they said, private property in the park, unless the water's on your property, sorry.
But that's Hillary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So today she emailed.
Yeah.
And within an hour, mosquito control was driving in our driveway. They were in the area, but whoever got the email let them know. And they came in, they knew all about the ponds surrounding us.
Yeah.
And the park is now working with them and it's really,
They have,
they're
they've,
getting a good handle on it.
yeah, they've identified like 7 or 8 spots that needed more treatment and the park has really stepped up immediately, like no resistance at all. So,
Both the park
Um,
and them were really,
Yeah.
really responsive and
the second wave of mosquitoes should be less than this bad first wave.
first weekend in June is when they started at our house. So we've gone through at least 4 cans of Deep Woods Off in that time frame.
Yeah, we're having that.
I have to wear my bee suit to garden.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we
Well,
were, we were.
yeah.
Try cutting those
Ron-
ones.
I'll send you the
it's
picture.
absolutely
I-
ridiculous.
I did speak with the superintendent on it with a question on it, on mosquitoes from someone who was right across from the park. And she said, have them call control.
Yep.
Mosquito control, because they have our permission
Yeah,
to work anywhere within the national seashore.
That just happened.
It just
just-
happened, but yeah,
just
right,
happened,
this is
yeah.
new.
Yeah.
But this was hers. They have permission to do it.
sorry, what,
Point.
Sorry.
I didn't hear the
Jackie said
end.
it just
Yeah,
happened. This
it
is
just-
something
yeah.
it's
very
a-
new.
It's
Yeah,
a new,
so
it's a
very
new
excited
event.
to hear it though.
But you don't,
Doing wonderful.
but
Yeah.
you don't even have to go to the park. Just go right to the mosquito control and they.
And thank you
They have
very much
authority.
to the Park
Yes,
Service for
thank you.
Absolutely.
It's
expediting that.
Mosquito control.
There's a number.
Anything else, Jackie?
And
Nope.
mosquito control is it a government?
County.
It's a
County,
county.
Barnstable,
You want the
County.
Barnstable County Agency.
right.
It's not a private.
Nope.
Right, it's not
company.
private. It's
No.
Barnstable County
Yeah,
Mosquito Control,
right.
right.
'Cause
Didn't
it's
know.
not to be confused with mosquito squad. Isn't
No,
what
no.
it is? It's
No,
mosquito control by the county
County.
is a government
They're
organization.
they're the ones that have the authority to work within the park as well. All right. Any new or upcoming agenda items? Other than we will take up the Timothy Smith next meeting. Suzanne? You have something?
I don't remember.
I sent out the Worcester,
Oh, yes.
yeah,
Oh,
that's the
that.
only other thing. We can discuss it next meeting if you want to.
Or we-
Yeah, it's not on our agenda for this evening, so we should put it on next meeting's agenda.
Yeah, we can look at that.
Oh. Would our list. Today's the 21st. Oh, okay. Would you have the consultant? Not consultant, I'm sorry. The town manager search
Yeah, it's
like
consultants.
Yeah,
list.
Jackie's gonna, that'll be on the agenda, we believe, next
Yes,
meeting.
Okay,
no time to tarry. We're gonna have something
no
probably
time
on
to
the
tarry.
agenda.
Time to tarry.
okay.
That's
It's
good.
mostly just so I don't worry, not worry, it's the list and
Yeah, right. So know where we're going. Yeah. All right,
okay.
Okay.
so we have minutes of. We won't, well, if somebody has a change in C, the executive session, we will hold off and not discuss it, but the
Yeah, which one was that?
the minutes of June 2nd, June 16th, and July
7th,
the one I was looking, there was one,
yeah, July 7th.
yeah.
Huh.
Second, if I can get to it. I didn't. All right, one spot where I saw my name was spelled incorrectly and I cannot find it.
Yeah, I've got the same problem. I see it on page 105, which is the minutes of July 7th. It's under licensing. Just misspelling my name. Very, very common mistake.
A typo, if you will.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it all of the letters? I did that to your name before.
That's all right. It's not like it's never been done.
Yeah.
Um. The ones for the 7th, I did watch your meeting after the fact. And it sort of got cut off, the recording,
It started. off, huh?
unfortunately. I think was resignation.
Like the meeting video got cut off?
Yeah, I don't think it had. Well, no, I guess it did have everything because it had down to the policy, the Leslie Sandberg's letter. So I guess that was the end of it. It just ended abruptly. I didn't see any adjournment, so I thought maybe there was more.
Oh.
But in looking at the minutes, that's exactly what I saw. So I'll make a motion to approve all the minutes as presented.
Second, except for name
Spelling.
corrections, right? That were identified.
Sometimes when I upload videos, it doesn't like,
Yeah, the whole thing. But in looking at the minutes,
Yeah.
that's what I saw the whole discussion. So
oh, okay.
Yeah, you can. You can vote on it. If you would, just on mine, if you could change calling a meeting to order on the 7th to Jerry instead of Gerald. I know Gerald is what I have to be elected as, but we'll,
You want
usually it's just insurance people that call me that, but that's okay. Any
put
other?
your jokes at the top?
My joke, no, she doesn't have to put the jokes in. That's all right.
Under the joke.
She can put all the groans in from when I say them, but,
Public record.
all right, so we have a motion with just looking at the names with changes on all the minutes.
Second,
Okay, any further discussion? None, all in favor?
aye.
Opposed? None? And I think that leads us to, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
second.
Second, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Karen, thank you for sitting.